Well, we watched Liam do some things in training that's pretty exceptional, and we haven't found the right role for him yet. So obviously the way it's gone, the relief roles haven't been what we wanted out of him. So we thought, let's just start him and let him get out there and warm up and see if he can go dial it up, because you're talking about somebody that's, I don't know what the velocity was tonight, but we've seen it was 98 the other morning. So when you have that, we're still trying to harness it. And like we've talked about all year, some of the pieces of the pitching staff are the most critical parts of what we're doing right now, and it hasn't been good in some stretches. And that's why we haven't really played as well in the last 10 days. But today was good. We got a lot of guys involved, and I thought everybody threw the ball fairly well today. And obviously tough conditions.
Yeah.
That feels like right now is 30 degrees,
right.
upper 20s.
And you felt like you could obviously run on this team a little bit and get things moving on the base pass.
Yes, going into the game, we thought that was something that we could really grasp there. And you have to get guys on base too. So
right.
Sometimes it's not easy. Like we talked about last midweek game, it's not easy to come out and take command of a game like that, but the guys did it. They played well. They ran the bases well. We had 2 base hit bunts. We've been trying to do a better job of that. Miller's ball early kind of just got us going and gave us a little bit of a lead, and the pitching was clearly the most important part of what we were trying to do today.
Right.
And we needed to get some guys in the game, and we needed those younger guys to keep. You see it. Like, there's some guys out there that the stuff's good. It's just the maturation of what it feels like at this level and how critical some of the pitches are. So the more they can get out there, the better off we're going to be in the back end of the season.
The level of adversity that you guys encountered the last couple of weekends is a level that you haven't experienced here.
Yeah.
So what have the teaching points been with your team since then?
Well, I don't know that I've done a lot of teaching based off the cancellations and the things that have happened. The talks have been around getting the right look out of the guys that we go to in the bullpen. I mean, that's the critical part of this, and we've talked about it. We lost a guy that probably could pitch in the big leagues this year, and that guy threw 65 or 70 critical innings for our team, and somebody's got to account for that number of innings, but it's also the leverage parts of the game that Cole ate up for us. That frees up the rest of the staff to manage the other parts of the game. And we've got to, with the group as a whole, find ways to get through some of those tough parts of the game, and we haven't done that as well recently. And it was a concern of mine going into the year, but today it just expedites the preparation for some of those other guys that are going to have to go out there as young freshman arms in this conference and try to pitch in what are essentially super regional weekends every weekend. That's what it is.
I guess the flip side of that, Link, would be then what did you learn about your team with the way it responded today and handled the disappointment of the last 10 days?
John, these guys show up to play the game, and that's what I love about them the most is they work so hard in all phases of their career here as a student athlete that when it's time to come play, you're going to get their best attention and effort. Now, it's not flawless, but they're going to be engaged. So just seeing that, not just today, but we had to go down and practice in Loftus all weekend. Virginia Tech was gone. We were not playing anymore. At 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday to watch those guys practice the way they practiced, I went home and I told my wife, this was amazing how well we just did after not playing really well for the Louisville series was not good. We could have won all 3 of the games. We didn't win any, and we should have won the game Friday. And those guys show up, and you would never know it. And I don't know that that's anything I do other than just they know when we go down there, this is important, and it's going to be organized, and we're going to go at it. But I just continue to marvel at their determination to be good at this. It doesn't mean you're going to play flawless baseball, but the intent is spectacular.
So was it I'm sorry, Ashley. Was it the leadership in that practice on Sunday, the intensity? What was it about that specific
Yes,
practice?
yes. The execution of some of the stuff we do, like our team defense. And we work on things that don't. I mean, a bunt defense didn't come up tonight. And like the 1-6-3 double play didn't come up today. But watching them go through some of this stuff, it's impressive. But again, it doesn't come up every game. They just go at it, and the execution of it was good. And Liam was the first pitcher. So when he went out there and threw 10 or 11 pitches and every fastball was 95 to 99 miles an hour and it was on the screws, that's when we decided, let's let him go see if he can do that. And just like he did down there, roll out against hitters, whether there are hitters or Northern Illinois, and dial that up. Because you could do that against the Atlanta Braves and function. But if you're not in the zone, that's the essence of what we're doing this weekend.
I was going to ask, you mentioned Liam, but were there any other vocal leaders that you wanted to name over the weekend of practice?
Like vocal leaders?
Anyone that stood out in particular? That kind of embodied that attitude that you were speaking of?
I'm not taking away from, like Dave's a vocal guy, but if you were down there, you wouldn't have sat in the mezzanine and heard somebody like rallying the troops. You would have just kind of watched the whole group grind through practices when they didn't want to practice. They didn't want to lose Friday night. It was just to see them pivot and have that kind of workout after some gut-wrenching stuff. It's pretty special. Like, there was no like pout or frustration. I'm sure they were frustrated. You wouldn't have seen any of that. They just go. Pretty good.
Pretty big challenge this coming weekend too, huh?
Tough. Like, these are I told you guys last year, and I don't know if people believe me until we got into the deep postseason how good these teams are. So this will be a super regional. Louisville, what rank or not ranked, I'm just telling you that team's capable of getting into the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 of, like we're all watching it basketball right now. Well, that's where we were last year. Like, you're down to the final group of teams. And I think, man, everybody in this conference is capable of that. You can look at who's ranked and who was ranked last year, and it's tough. They're all tough. So to go execute and perform and play, you can't just do it today. You're going to have to do it Friday. You're going to have to do it Saturday. And you're going to have to do it Sunday to have a chance to win in these environments against these teams. Just period.
We go Bertrand again on Friday.
John, we haven't decided. Like, I told you guys Terrell hadn't been as sharp. I told you. And like, you can take the stats and they may not be an indicator of what we see and what we know it's going to. So I don't know. You can do what we did last year if you can get a little deeper in the game, and then you have Colip, but if our bullpen hasn't been as strong, we're trying to decide if Bertrand on Friday gives you a better chance to get into the weekend, where before him on Saturday with Colip and so every team's different, but the flexibility and the execution of the bullpen guys, that was the whole point of today. Can we continue to dial these guys up a little bit so they're more prepared? And I think comfortable. I think they go out there prepared, but any freshman that's thrown into an ACC football game or a basketball game, there's that little bit of newness and like how they react to it that we're trying to continue to feel and force and kind of let them settle.
With Roman Kimball tonight, I felt like that was the best we've seen him this year, early on at least. What did you see out of him tonight, coming on relief?
Efficient, like in control, physically in control, and it's just a climbing fastball. Like, it's not in the major league world of spin rate. It's not necessarily that, but it's the extension and the angle he releases the ball, where it appears like that ball's climbing up through the strike zone, so he gets some weird swings, and when he throws it down, he gets some people to take it because when you're hitting, you think it's gonna stay down, and it doesn't stay as down as you think. The ball's not rising. It doesn't plane like most pitches. It almost looks like it's climbing. So when he can do that, and he's got a good curveball that kind of plays off of the fastball, so the profile of those two pitches when they're on is good. And you saw it. And that's why he had the attention of Major League Baseball out of high school.
You've been toying with some different batting orders. Where are you with that?
I'm not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I told you that we've got to have like a left-handed bat presence would help us a lot. DM has had some flashes, like Joey Spence tonight, like he can hit. Ziska, he matches up pretty well against the left-handed pitcher, so that kind of, you could put him in the middle there. But like DM or Spence or even Jouer maybe matches up better with a good right-handed arm. So I'm trying to find somebody that can break up. We get really right-handed heavy, and if you got a good right-handed pitcher that really can dial it in, then we become a little vulnerable, I think, with that stretch of righties that we have. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I'm game to game right now.
Like but I don't think you've had Brannigan up that high in the lineup. You have him third.
First time. But
yeah.
you know what? If you can bunch your runners together in a game where you feel like you might be able to run, then you had TJ and you had Miller and you had Brannigan. So it just keeps it a little bit more.
That was more of a matchup decision today as opposed to something that you're probably leaning towards.
Correct. It lined up really well today because I was fine with Brannigan in the 3-hole, and it may be something to look at, but the running stuff when you bunch them, like Putz doesn't run as good. So if you stick Putz in there, then you just don't have them grouped together. Whether Putz needs to be fourth.
Well, you had to make that decision with Cavadas last year too. Like you eventually moved them to 4 so you could get at the top.
That's right. And you bunch them, and it's good. Then there was another part of the lineup where we kind of had it. I can't remember what it was, but if you can bunch them without giving up something you feel like's a strategic mismatch, I like to bunch the runners together because you've got pockets where you can do some things.